fine.
Good morning. Hello, everybody. We've got a number of people joining us here online for today's undeniable session where I'm going solo and we're talking about AI and your job search because this is a topic that is so important. For the moment, I just wanted to introduce my team here, the Get Her Hired team, because these are the incredible women behind the work that we're accomplishing in the world here. They are part of the mission to help 10,000 women, thems, and cool men land their next boss roles. And so I want to introduce Mimi Bishop. She is on the resume writing team. Lourdes Hernandez, also on the resume writing team, and then Anne Marie Schofield, who's our chief of staff, and she manages all sorts of special projects like our undeniable sessions here today. So just wanted to introduce them. They're probably all going to go in the background now, but they are here and just wanted you to put some faces to the names of people on the Get Her Hired team. It takes a village to do this important work. So today, again, talking about AI and the job search, it is confusing. There's just so much information out there and it's changing all the time. And we are in it full time, right? Like, so the work that our team is doing, we're working with AI. We are trying to understand the trends. We're trying to see how we can use the information to help our clients land those interviews that they deserve to land. So that's what we want to do. As we get started today, I want you to know you are all going to be anonymous here, and we do this on purpose. There are at least 20 people online right now. There are more than that registered. There are 20 of you here. And we know that this can be a very discrete time period in your life where you don't necessarily want everyone to know that you're looking for a job. And we understand that. That's exactly why we've designed the webinar to be available as an anonymous source for you guys. So you can answer, or excuse me, ask any questions to the panelists. You can also use the Q&A function, and that will be anonymous. So I want you to know that you are welcome to do that at any time. Your name will not be displayed. We're not going to call out your name. So you can, and we won't even unmute you unless there's something outstanding. We may unmute you for a particular question. But basically we won't do that. So just know this is a safe place to ask all your questions. So to get started today, we've got a couple questions just to warm up the room. And let me get out to this right now. So I'm launching a little poll question. We want to understand, what is your biggest challenge as a candidate right now? What are you facing out there in the market? Is it understanding the algorithms? Is it making your experience feel relevant in the market that's changing? That can happen a lot. Building the right network connections, or maybe using AI tools. I know there are times when we meet with clients who have tried the AI tools and they haven't quite worked. And so that's another thing that we see happening for people. Okay, so it looks like there's a good spread of responses here, but about 50% of the people really want to understand more about the algorithms and what's happening there. Okay, great. So we can definitely work on that today. Thank you for taking that. My next question for you all: how confident are you that your resume and LinkedIn profile are optimized for both humans and AI? Okay, so humans and AI. I know a lot of people worry that it's optimized for AI, but let's remember the human element here. We are getting like 92% of people saying not very confident. So, yeah, not very confident in how AI evaluates your resume or your LinkedIn. Great. Okay, so wait, let me take a note. How AI evaluates resume, LinkedIn, and then also the other poll question answer was how the algorithms work. Okay, thank you, everybody. We'll talk through those things. And if there are additional questions, of course, yeah, 75% are not confident. Only one person said that they are extremely confident they've got it down. But love it. Okay. One final question for you all here today. Which best describes how you're using AI tools right now? So are you using them to personalize and refine? Are you copying and pasting? Are you experimenting, but you're not sure? Or maybe you haven't used them at all. Where are you in use of AI right now? Okay, we've got pretty equal spread across all of these. Interesting. Okay, so some people here are not using AI at all. Some are experimenting. Okay. Okay, this is a pretty even swath here of people using it to refine, doing the copy and pasting with minor edits, experimenting, but not confident in the use. Okay, very good. So let's start here. I'm going to talk about some of the tools that we use. Oh, Tracy, I see. I just saw the chat here. I'm so sorry. I just said your name out loud. Excuse me. Never mind. No one named Tracy's on this call right now. So the tools that we use at Get Her Hired, there are three main tools that we use when we're creating your content and when we're evaluating and doing research. The first one is called Perplexity. All right. So Perplexity, and maybe Anne-Marie or Lourdes, can you put into the chat to everybody notes on these tools so they can look them up? Perplexity AI is a tool. We have a paid team subscription to it. So we have a little bit different way of interacting with it. But essentially, what it does is it's like, I would call it this Google research on steroids. Okay. It's like having a personal librarian that is coming up with all the most relevant information about a topic you put into it. It is not going to write things for you. Well, it can, but it's not very good at it. What it can do, however, you can ask it, tell me, what are the trends? What are the trends happening in human resources in North America right now that I should be aware of? If you put that into Perplexity, you're going to get a lot of great information about what's going on, and all of the sites are cited. The sources are cited. That's what I meant to say. And so Perplexity is a great research tool that just ups the ability for you to do some research faster. And we often like to use it when it's one of the places where we'll validate salary information if we're doing a salary analysis. It's another place where we might validate competencies that we're reviewing for our clients. I also do review it and use this for trends. So when we get because we work with people from NASA to Comcast, okay, like across the board and very different industries from automotive to pharma. And so, of course, my team, we don't know oh, sorry, I have to do something for Anne-Marie here. Let me make Anne-Marie a co-host. How do I do that? 1 second, guys. Oh, there we go. Anne-Marie, I'll move you to co-host. There. Now she's got, Anne-Marie has the power and the control. Actually, I think I was supposed to do that to my whole team. I think I was supposed to make you all co-hosts. My bad, everybody. Sorry. There you go. Now you're all co-hosts. Okay. So, we don't know what the trends are in every specific industry. That would be amazing. That's why we have Perplexity. And again, it is a great tool. So if you haven't tried it yet, we recommend that you give that a go. And I think Anne-Marie is going to be able to post that. No, we had a question, is Perplexity like LinkedIn where you can look up people? No, Perplexity is more of a way to scrape Google and the internet, all of the websites that are out there. So it's not going to, I don't think it will help you find people. It might, but it's not something we've ever used it for. Um, When I'm using LinkedIn, I use Sales Navigator. Again, we have that for a specific reason. And there are plugins that you can use. We use one called Wiza, W-I-Z-A, that allows us to see connections and people that we might not otherwise get access to. But that is also an AI plugin tool that you can use in LinkedIn to get access to more people. Do you need to do that? Maybe, maybe not. Do you need LinkedIn Premium? Maybe, maybe not. We can discuss that one later. I want to talk about another AI tool that we use, and that is Claude AI. Claude.ai is a great tool for writing things that are, I would say, more conversational. So if you're looking to turn something that you've been writing into a more conversational tone, it is a wonderful tool to use for that. I don't use it for any of the writing that we do for the career documents, though, because it's it doesn't really get to that expert level that we want to portray. It's more, it's great for like networking follow-ups, networking thank yous. Okay, so it's a conversational tool that you can like put a note in there and say, hey, I want to write a thank you note. I interviewed for this job. These were the things that stood out to me. How can I write a thank you note? And Claude AI will produce for you a very nice thank you note. Uh, the one we use most often is Chat GPT, which most people are familiar with. Um, well, we've got a Claude user out here, so that's great. Yeah, okay. Yes, it's really good for difficult emails. So, like if you have a difficult vendor, employee, team member, whatever, you can use it to write emails and you can put in all your rage. You know how you like rage email and then you like don't send it? This is actually a great release using Claude. You can write your rage email and then say, make this polite, please. It does. So we do have another great Claude user in the group here. She sent in a message. So ChatGPT, where we are using this is typically to do one of two things. One is to prioritize information, and two, it's to shift some tone. Okay. So it is typically not doing the writing for us. What we're doing is we're saying we're aiming in this direction with these competencies. This person wants to go in this direction. And so, what are the things that are going to matter most for a person who's moving into this role in the future? So, for example, if someone, I was just working this morning with someone who's a nonprofit executive director. And so I would go into ChatGPT literally and say, what are the top competencies that X, the title needs for X field? So I would say, what are the top competencies that an executive director needs for the nonprofit industry or nonprofit field? Ask that question. It's going to give me a list of things, right? And why I ask for competencies to my mind, and there are other definitions. Here's how I look at it. It's a mixture of your skills and strengths. And most HR teams are hiring based on competencies. They call them skills, they call them strengths, but it's really combined into a competency. What have you learned and what are you uniquely capable of doing? And so that's why we'll use ChatGPT to say, okay, out there in the world, what are the top competencies for this? Now, that may or may not be accurate. And here's a perfect example of why. So when you're looking at a specific role, like let's say there's a job out there that you want to apply for, actually use that information in ChatGPT. So if you have a job posting for an executive director role, for example, copy, paste it into ChatGPT and ask it to say, looking at this and knowing the competencies for someone in this role, what would the competencies be that are most important for this job title, for this job description? Okay, and you can dial that in even further. Do you need to do this every time? Oh, hell no. That would be a lot, but I think directionally understanding this should be really helpful. They're going to overlap most of the time, but it's not always going to be accurate. The second thing that we do is to help with tone. So, for example, if we are matching someone's experience that they've had in the past to the competencies they want to be able to prove that they have as strengths, we'll ask it to what I would say is match skills or match bullet points from the person's resume to these competencies. And as we do that, one of the things we try very hard to do is not put in personal identifying information. So this is really important because ChatGPT, even though we have a business profile, it doesn't use the information we put in there because of the type of subscription we have. It won't use it to train its learning system. However, the information is still there. The data is still there. And so we try never to use the personal identifying information when we're out there. So that ChatGPT doesn't wind up with your data. I think that's pretty important. Just know that Claude, Perplexity, ChatGPT, any of these language AI tools you use will store your data if you put it out there. And you know, I have many thoughts on this. Just be aware that that happens if you do put it there. So as I was saying, we can say take the bullets from your existing resume, right? And I want you to categorize these bullets under these competency names. And so it prioritizes the information for us. And then from there, we can work with it to adjust some of the tone so that it's positioned correctly. And I won't get into how we do that because that's the magic of what we do. If you've got specific questions on how we do that, I'm happy to share. So I'll pause right here. These are the three tools I wanted to share with you first was Perplexity, Claude, and ChatGPT. And Anne-Marie or Lourdes, can you put the URLs for those in the chat so everyone can quickly link to those tools as well? That would be great. And Anne-Marie, thank you for putting those notes out there. So I'm going to pause here and see if there are questions on AI tools right now that I've mentioned or have not yet mentioned. And I know that we've got a question on how to evaluate different AI tools for different uses. So I keep up with trends. What is the newsletter? I love this newsletter. Hang on. I'm looking for the newsletter to read. Where is it? I'm not seeing it here. Anyway, there is a newsletter I read every day just about that summarizes what's happening in the AI world. And if I find it, I'll send it out as a follow-up to everyone here, just so you can get it. And then there's a question, do I consider the environmental impact? We haven't yet. We are, I would say that's a great question to ask about. We have not done that. We're not necessarily super users. So I hope that what we are using here at Get Her Hired is not going to be like a corporation using it. The other thing I want to say is I heard this analogy that AI today, a lot of people mean different things when they say AI. It's kind of like an umbrella term, like transportation is an umbrella term. So like transportation, there's air, there's water, there's cars, there's trains, there's all sorts of types of transportation. AI also includes all sorts of types of artificial intelligence. So that can be anything from a quick chat with your hairstylist to do like a FAQ question There are things that are artificial intelligence through my doctor's office, for example, when I'm routed with my phone calls. There are things that automate all sorts of the actions that we're taking online out there in the world every day. And even if we are not online, when we interact with any business, you can bet there's some automation that is driven by artificial intelligence behind it. And what we're talking about mostly here is natural language processing or it's machine learning, but it's a language model. So ChatGPT, for most of us here today, the way we use it is as a language model. You can use it for coding, you can use it for images. So again, there's AI for images, for graphic design. There's AI for all the coding. Like there's pretty much different kinds of AI related tools for everything that we're using. And for us at Get Her Hired, we are using ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Claude mostly as a language learning model. And I want you to know it doesn't know anything. Okay, it's only gathering language. So when people say it's going to take over the world, maybe they mean something else, but it's not ChatGPT that will take over the world because it's a dumb language model. It's just going on the data of what words are trending, what language is trending, what it sees most frequently. So if you think about old school people here who've been in business for more than 10 years, do you remember like the big thing like 15 years ago was these word clouds? And the more a word came up in a conversation, the bigger it would be in the word cloud. That's kind of how I really have seen ChatGPT working, is it gives you the most common terminology. And that's why copying and pasting is not a great idea, why you will wind up sounding like 500 other candidates if that's what you're doing. So that's a warning here. Let's see, I've got Anne Marie or Lourdes, are you available to share with me a question I can answer next? Because I could go on and on, but I think there's a lot coming in right now.
Yeah, so there's a question that someone thought that with ChatGPT in the settings, you could ask it to not share the information to make sure that they keep your info private in the paid ChatGPT 4.0.
Yes, in the paid version, yes, it can keep your information private. Now, that doesn't mean it's not collecting your information. Okay, so there's the difference there. So it'll keep the information private. It will not use it to train its language learning model, but the data is still there. So that's the caution. I just want you to be aware of that. If that doesn't bother you, don't worry about it. Personally, I feel like everyone knows all the information about everyone already because of some things that have happened in the United States recently. So, with data and information sharing at the national federal level. But then again, maybe you don't want your personal identifying information to be shared. So if that's true, don't put it into any AI if you can avoid it. I saw someone said there was a statement TLDR. Someone came on and shared tldr.tax/AI. Anne Marie or Lourdes, can you copy that from the comment that we received? That is the one that I read, the TLDR. I love them. So TLDR does a whole series of different types of synopsises of what's happening in the market. And thank you so much to that person that posted it to remind me it was. TLDR stands for too long didn't read. And it's a great, great, great source for marketing, for AI, for business. Like they've got many sub newsletters and it's an aggregate of trends and information. That is the one I highly recommend and love. It's a quick read and then you can just scan it and then you can go into a nerdy deep dive. Okay. And go down something. And of course, caution as to are these people experts or not. I don't know. You have to figure that out for yourself. But the more you educate yourself on a topic, the more you're going to understand where's an opinion not backed by data and where's an opinion that is 100% backed by data and work. Um, Oh, great. Some other people have been reading TLDR too. So that's interesting. We've got a number of TLDR readers here. Very cool. I'm wondering if anyone on here knows how we can, I haven't done this, capture the environmental impact of what Get Her Hired is doing with the AI tools we're using. So if anyone knows that, I would love to figure out a way to crunch that and discover it. Um, so there's a question here about LinkedIn sales tools. Okay, so when you are out in LinkedIn, there are certain subscriptions you can add to your LinkedIn if you're a business owner. One is you can have a recruiter version of LinkedIn where you have different tools to search for profiles on LinkedIn, and then there's a sales version of the Sales Navigator. That is the one that we use because we're trying to find additional people to work with who need our services. But let me pause and talk about the recruiter version. So if there are two kinds of recruiters in the world, one is going to be a person that works at a search firm that is paid, they are paid when they can find a great candidate for the company that hired them to find the candidate. Okay. So these are search firms out there like Korn Ferry, Robert Half. Okay. These are the big search firms you'll see across the country. Deloitte would be one that has search firms. And then there's many more, like in the Twin Cities, we have Verseek, is another very popular one. And these are firms that all they do is they're finding candidates to match them to companies that have open jobs. And now these open jobs, the companies may or may not be posted anywhere, right? And so this is why typically they're not posted because they are looking for a human being to sort through the applications to find someone who is a really good fit so they don't have to filter through all the bad applications. Okay. So you're probably not going to find jobs that a search firm is working to fill. You're not going to find those jobs on Indeed or LinkedIn or Glassdoor. They're not going to be there because they're paying the search firm to sort the candidates. Okay. So that's one type of recruiter. The other type of recruiter is an in-house, in-company person. Typically now they're called talent acquisition. And so they work within a company and they are placing roles throughout the company. Those roles may or may not, again, be found on their company website, may or may not be found in LinkedIn. There are some roles that they will treat like a search firm does. Okay. That's why most jobs are not found through search boards. So if your search today is only encompassing looking at what is posted on LinkedIn, you're probably missing out on 60 to 80% of the great opportunities. And that's why working with a search firm, getting your LinkedIn updated and having great resume will really matter to get the attention of those recruiters out there. So the way that recruiters, whether they're in-house at a company or whether they're a search firm, the way they will use LinkedIn is they're going to put in certain keywords. So LinkedIn is a database, and I don't know how many times I've had a client tell me, I don't do social media. Here's my answer to that. That's cute. LinkedIn is not social media. And if you need a job, get on LinkedIn and use the database. And even for everybody, it is a database. And that's how you can look at it. And if you're allergic to social media, cool. It's not social media, it is a database. And what you want to make sure you're doing is looking at skills. Do you have the right skills for the future role that you're trying to apply to? Does your profile stand out or does it look like 1,000 other people's? Is there something about you in it? Do you have all of the profile sections complete? Because as a database, there are a billion people out there. You are one in a billion, and you want recruiters to find you, and they are using AI scrapes to find you. Now, the algorithm can be different for every single search. And so when people go to, I know lots of people have used Teal, or they've used other resume writing or LinkedIn AI hacking tools to optimize their materials for AI or applicant tracking systems, ATS. That's another term people hear a lot, applicant tracking systems. The problem with that is while there is some value in it, there is at least a 20 to 50% variable on it because every recruiter, every search firm, every company can put different filters into the algorithm that they use to find someone. And so while you might get a little further ahead, don't rely on that entirely for getting your profile seen because a one recruiter might say, I need the person's skills to match 100%. They're going to have very few people that will match 100%. Or they might say, I need the person's skills to match 30%. And they'll get more candidates, right? But how it works is as a database, and then the algorithm people use changes all the time. It changes by what system they're using. And so that's why investing in services that tell you you'll ATS proof your resume, I think there's some value in it, but please don't take it as the only thing, because it doesn't quite work that way from the searcher's side of it. I'm going to pause here and see if we've got any questions I should answer at this point.
Yeah, there was one from before. When AI is being used to review or filter applications and resumes, does it look for age as a disqualifier, even if you're more than qualified or competent? And does it look for dates?
Um, in North America or in the United States, it's illegal to discriminate on age, so far as we know right now today. Does that mean it doesn't happen? No, it's age bias. It's out there, whether it's conscious or unconscious. And so the thing to consider there is a couple of things. It will probably not eliminate you based on age if it can even determine that. I mean, AI, language learning models, as well as these recruiting tools that are AI based, are not that smart. They're probably not mathing on your age based on your experience. However, I would say that it will take the dates because people want to see career progression. Okay. If you have something on your resume that is older than 2005, you can consider not putting it on your resume. Okay. Some of the clients I work with, we only go as far back as 2015 on their resume, even though they will have more experience than that. And especially if it's not as relevant, it doesn't really matter. Now, you can have that experience out in your LinkedIn and not emphasize it in your resume. Of course, the thing there is you have to weigh the benefits to any kind of perceived risk. So the perceived risk in this question being ageism, hell yeah, it's there. I absolutely. Um, and the benefit, though, might outweigh that because here's the benefit of listing all the companies you've worked at, even back to 1999. I've had some people I've worked with who go back to 1989. Okay. I think that's before LinkedIn was even here. But the benefit in it is it allows it allows you to create a broader second degree network. And it is your second degree network on LinkedIn that is the most powerful place for you to be able to make connections because you can say, oh, they worked at IBM when I worked at IBM. Or oh, this person I know through IBM, even though I worked there in 1992. But they know this person that I want to meet who's over, at Danaher making in the semiconductor industry. Maybe they can introduce me to this person at Danaher or sorry, that's the wrong company, Renaissance or whatever it might be. right? Maybe they can introduce me. So the second degree network usually is a bigger benefit than worrying about age discrimination on LinkedIn. But can they filter for dates? Absolutely. Do I know how they will do it? No. At any given time, they can change what their filter looks like. And then again, we're trying to game a robot. So it's pretty difficult. Other questions, were anything else coming in? Um, Someone just asked a question, um, uh, that their work on LinkedIn goes back to 1999 and they're embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed. It's cool, especially if there's actually a business it's linked to, because that's how you get the second degree network. So if it's actually linked to the company, you still get the value and the benefit of that company's network in your network. Okay. Um, Someone's worked at their job for 19 years. So if they stop at 2015, it might look like they only worked for one company. In that case, what I might do for the person who asked that question is, let's say you've worked at one company for 19 years. We have a lot of people that come and work with us that have this challenge. And so what we would do there is give yourself the full credit for all those 19 years at your company. And then you might have a little section, just a very small section after that, that says additional past roles. Well, you will just list the name of the company, the title, the date. Name of the company, title, date. Name of company, title, date. You won't put any more information there, but you can have that there so people can see that you have a little longer work history than just one company, if that's useful to you. I mean, there's benefits and risks to all of this. So you just have to decide which one is going to work for you, and then go for it. Just go for it. Believe that your materials are going to work. The one way you can tell, so to the person who was asking the question about their resume and removing older things in their resume, etc., the way you can tell your resume is working is if you're getting interviews. So if you're not getting interviews, your resume needs work. Okay, that absolutely is 100% can validate that. The job of your resume is to get an interview. So if that's not happening, check it out, see what you can redo with that. Team, what other questions are coming in here?
Okay, someone asked how, or when you're searching for HR contacts at an organization, what title is the best starting point? Would you do talent acquisition, HR business partner?
So that's interesting. It's probably going to be talent acquisition if you're looking for HR people. I would look for talent acquisition, or recruiter. Some companies use that title. You might use AI to say what other titles are people using, but those are the two titles that we, would find most prevalent. You might also try to search for the hiring manager at the company. Okay, and that is something that you can use Google for. You can use LinkedIn for that. And how you would find the hiring manager is you would need to understand what business line that role is in. And if it's a larger enterprise, there's probably a specific business line that would where the role would be within, and then who leads that business line, right? So, oh, someone's got to drop. Hey, if you have to drop early, that's no problem. We're recording this. It's going to be out on the YouTubes, so you can check it out there later if you've got to drop. Yeah, so that's what I would say if you find the hiring manager or a talent acquisition leader at the company. That sounds like a great start. And here, just go Agatha Christie on it. Don't stop just because you can't find someone in the first, search that you do. Maybe put that one aside for a minute and go do another search. And come back to that one, depending on how much time you have, and search again, try it from a different angle, from a Google angle, LinkedIn angle, Dun and Bradstreet. There's all sorts of ways you can find people at companies. Someone asked if you can use AI to discover postings across platforms, and if yes, what AI should we use? And someone mentioned DeepSeek. DeepSeek is an interesting one I've used cautiously. DeepSeek is this one that's been out in the news. It's a Chinese-based AI firm. And I haven't used it for a lot. I've experimented with it, I'll say personally, not professionally, just to see how it works. And I don't know that it's that much better than the other things that we're using right now. But can AI be used to discover postings across platforms? Best thing I have found for this is using Google. So if you go to Google and you go to the, the homepage and you put in a query, let's say the query you're putting in is CEO and you want to work at a hospital. So you do CEO hospital and then hit enter. And across the top, you're going to see images, shopping, jobs. Then there's all these other little filters. So if you can go to your Google right now and try that, I want you to put in your title that you're aiming for, at the kind of company or industry you're aiming for, hit enter, and then go to the jobs tab. Once you're in that jobs tab, you're going to see an aggregate of jobs posted across multiple platforms, multiple platforms. Now, when you're in that jobs page in Google, there's a bunch of filters at the top. So you can say remote, you can put in your zip code, you can put in salary, and I would say keep your search to the last 7 days or 10 days. I think it's 7 days that they have as one of the filters. Jobs that are out there longer than that, just don't waste your time on it. So go for ones that were posted in the last 7 days and come on out here and look at that every day. When you see a job out there, then you'll click on it and it may say apply on Indeed, apply on LinkedIn, apply through ZipRecruiter. What I say is always go to the company or organization's website, make sure that the job is posted there, and then post through that primary source if you can. Apply through the company or the organization's website if you can. All right. Quick apply on LinkedIn is not very effective. I wouldn't use it. Too many other people are doing that, and you're just going to be one of 1,000 applications. So if you're serious about a job, do not use quick apply on LinkedIn. Okay. What other questions do we have coming in?
There was one asking, if you have a ton of experience but not a college degree, how can you consistently break through this barrier?
Well, thankfully, a lot of companies are removing that requirement from their job descriptions. This is something I'm so grateful for because it does make for a more inclusive environment for job search, and then it makes for better talent at companies because just having a degree doesn't mean you're great at your job. I know plenty of people with degrees who are fairly mediocre with their jobs. I think you can probably imagine a few too. But the barrier there can be, so this is an example. Years ago, I was bound and frickin' determined to work at 3M. Okay. I really wanted to work at 3M. I have a master's degree. I started a PhD, dropped out of that, whole other story. But I don't have an MBA. Even though I've been in business a long time, I was running global strategy, working on, the P&L, all the stuff, reporting for the SEC filings, all of that. I didn't have an MBA. And I got rejected from 3M because I don't have an MBA. And so the way that I recommend we get around this, if you feel that it's truly a barrier, is to find human beings and just, if you're applying to something, I want you to take the and approach. Okay. I want peanut butter and jelly. Okay. I want both mustard and mayonnaise. Both. You can apply to the job, but then I want you to go put on your Sherlock Holmes or your Agatha Christie hat. And I want you to go find human beings, at least 3 human beings at that company that you can send a note to and say, hey, I applied for this job. I'm really interested in it. Do you have any advice you can share with me? okay, and send your resume along to the human beings. And this is a way we we can circumvent a lot of things. That the algorithm that we're never going to really know the algorithm, how it's dialed in that day, uh, we can get around that by getting to a human being. So, there was, earlier in when we started this, we had a question out there about how AI evaluates your resume or LinkedIn, and how to be confident that your materials are optimized for AI. So the biggest thing to understand here is that the algorithms vary all the time. And they will change from company to company, from job to job, from recruiter to recruiter. And it's very difficult to play the game of trying to outsmart the robot. And what it's really doing is scraping for keywords. Again, it's dumb. These language models, these natural language processors are just scraping for data. They're looking for keyword matches and they want a percentage of match. Okay. And so if your materials are dialed in to your industry, to the specific job you're looking for, you're going to be okay. Problem comes in, and Mimi and Lourdes, the writers on the team, and then Anne Marie, she's been with the team a long time. She knows this. A lot of clients we have come in are not clear on what they want to do next. They want to be available for all sorts of roles, just in case something comes up, they want to be able to apply for it, right? The problem is if your materials are too broad in general, you're not going to get found for the jobs you're really qualified for. And so the biggest thing you can do to get the algorithm to work in your favor is for you to be focused on one thing, commit to it for 12 weeks. And so sometimes people will say to me, so like I'll just take the example this morning, this person I'm working with, great, very talented person. She's an executive director at a nonprofit, but she's looking at moving into corporate philanthropy, right? In a corporate giving role. Or she wants to, number three, she wants to work in a role where she's the head of corporate development for a nonprofit, gathering and creating those relationships with corporations on behalf of the nonprofit, right? These are three different roles that take, if you remember back to the beginning, I was talking about competencies and how the competencies have to match where you're going. And so she would need to have three different resumes: one to be a new executive director, two to get a corporate job in a large public or private company that has a giving philanthropy arm, or a third resume that would be focused on the development work, specifically removing the executive leadership work from her resume, right? And so you can see right there, if she had a resume that tried to cover all three of those bases, the algorithm's probably going to spit her out the majority of the time because it's not specific and skilled. People want to hire experts who have experience, not generalists. The other challenge then comes in for this candidate, this person, because your LinkedIn can only be optimized for one focus. If you try to optimize your LinkedIn for three different kinds of jobs, no one's going to find you. No one's going to find you. So, biggest takeaway here, like if I go back to those poll questions we had at the beginning of the session, you dial into one focus for 12 weeks, you're going to be found for that thing. You're going to be able to talk about it. People are going to know how to recommend you, who to introduce you to, because it gets too confusing when we're looking for too many different kinds of things. And we cannot possibly get our materials updated to match all of those things. It just won't work with the algorithm. The algorithm's too dumb. It's just a language scraper. That's it. Other questions coming in?
Yeah, do you have an AI interview site that can help people prep for interviews?
Oh, that's a great question. No, but I know there are some valuable ones out there. Um, yeah, that's not something I've researched. we do mock interviews here. I'll tell you the way we do it is we look at the market information. We'll go to Perplexity and say, okay, what's trending in this market? What's trending in this industry for this type of role? And we'll come up with a list of questions that a hiring manager might ask for a specific role. And then I play the role of the hiring manager. We jump on Zoom and we've prepared the candidate ahead of time with some of the things to think about as they're answering questions. Because we write, for example, we write a tits up script. We write so tell me about yourself script. We write different scripts for our clients so that when they get in the interviews, they know what to talk about. And so I'll ask the questions, we record it, and then we talk about, well, how'd it go? And then the client can watch the video afterwards and see how it feels. But there's probably some good AI interview sites that probably is something that AI can do relatively well. I don't know if it will tell you how well you did, but you can at least have some practice time with it. I saw there was a question out here about hiring a search firm to procure a CXO job. That is a very, you technically you can hire someone to find you a job. That's called a headhunter. I don't recommend it because the people that do that type of work, if you follow the money, the compensation model on that is a little strange, and I'm not sure how they're incentivized with this. So if you're hiring someone to find you a job, I would just say no. I think there are better avenues through your network than hiring someone to find you a job. It's no. You use a search firm and find a recruiter at a search firm and stay and build those relationships. But yeah, I'd avoid paying someone who says they can find you a job. Anyone who says they guarantee they can find you a job, oh hell no. We don't guarantee we're going to find you a job. We guarantee absolutely that the materials you use that we create are going to get you interviews. That's what we guarantee at Get Her Hired. We cannot guarantee you a job. There are way too many factors. And so hiring someone to do that seems a little risky.
Okay, Kate, someone dropped in the chat that they use ChatGPT Job Fit Assistant, and it's part of the paid ChatGPT 4.0.
Oh, cool.
And you just add the Job Fit Assistant GPT. So I'll drop that in the chat for everyone.
Oh, great. Yeah, there's a lot of custom GPTs out there. Get Her Hired, we have our own GPT as well. I don't talk about it a lot because I don't want, I think people deserve to have better training on how to use GPT, so they're not putting the personal identifying information out there, et cetera, right? So, but we do have our own GPT as well. And if you have a paid version of it, you can use Get Her Hired's GPT. And it sounds like the Job Fit Assistant is another one that could be very helpful. So check it out. But remember to be a human. And I saw that there was a question that just went away. Maybe someone can, Lourdes or Anne-Marie, what was the question that was just out there in the Q&A box?
Yeah, I just answered the question. It was, if everyone is using AI and it all sounds the same, does not using it set you behind or help you stand out?
Both, right? So there's benefits to using it. Like I said at the start of the call, we use it with prioritization of information. So what's going to matter most to the reader? What is the most important stuff that we need to think about for this person's future role? And you may or may not know that, especially if you're moving into a new industry or you've been in the same company 20 years, you may not be familiar with what the market is looking for right now. So AI can help with that prioritization. And then two, we check it for the tone and the positioning. So I would say we've recently tried to hire at our company for a number of roles, and I probably received 50 resumes for one role, and only 3 of them stood out. And why did they stand out? Because they were actually in someone's voice. They weren't copied and pasted from ChatGPT. And people can tell. There are telltale signs that change all the time. And you can read TLDR newsletters to see about these telltale signs of ChatGPT. But yes, there are so many people out there using it and copying and pasting it exactly. So that becomes like this echo chamber of nothingness. So people are using ChatGPT to create a job description. Then people are applying using ChatGPT resumes. And it's like, I don't know, there's nothing really in there about the human being and what they've accomplished. So one way to make sure that your materials stand out is to talk about the impact of your work. All right. No one can compare to the impact you've made. So if you think about before I came on this project or into this job, what was the performance of this group or this team or this project like? What was I then asked to do while I was on this team or project or leading this division? And then what was different after I did it? Right? So we hit 30% more sales. We automated 25% of our processes, which saved us $3 million and 10 FTEs, right? So this kind of stuff. This is the data. So if you can like take the quotient of this is what it was like before, this is what it was like after, and this is what I did to make that change, and then quantify that, talk about your leadership around that, you're going to stand out so much further than anyone else who's you just copied and pasted from ChatGPT. There's no comparison. You are in a category of one when you take that approach. So I know we're running out of time here, but I really wanted to talk about this because I know it's overwhelming and there's a lot of information out there. It's hard to understand what to pay attention to, what not to pay attention to. Early when AI was coming out 3 years ago and these different chat and language models were being produced, I wound up with probably $500 in random subscriptions to things because I was just testing them. So if you find yourself in that place, that's good. I mean, test them out, see if they work. But remember, rely on yourself, trust yourself too, that if it seems too good to be true, probably is. And always take an eye of the human who's going to be reading this. What do they really want to know? Do they want to know that you have a proven track record of successful leadership with cross-functional experience? Or do they want to know that you've produced $5 million in new sales and managed a team of 5 professionals where you've created 2 promotions and you've implemented 30% new market share into a South Asian country? That's what people want to know. They don't want to know that you have a proven track record. Don't tell me you have a proven track record. Show me you have a proven track record, right? Well, this was great to chat today. If you've got any other questions, hit up the team. We're happy to answer them for you. And then come on next week. If you're at a career pivot, you're looking for a new job right now, we've got a session next Tuesday with Wendy Wiesman of Ready, Set, Pivot. And we're going to be talking all about when you're feeling so dead inside, yet you're really good at your job, but like you're feeling dead inside. How do you know when it's time to change and what do you do? We're going to talk about that next Tuesday in one of these sessions. Again, you can bring all your questions. All right, take care. And I wish everyone great success always in everything you do. Bye-bye.